Hi everyone, this is Brian Neal with Tradetobefree.com, and I'm looking at some potential earnings trades today. I've got Cognex, Lumber Liquidators, and also Shopify on my radar this morning. And Lumber Liquidators looks pretty interesting here. Um, they beat both on the top and bottom line. I haven't seen whether they've raised guidance or not, but my guess is that they did. Their margins were, of course, a lot better. They again beat on the top line. And this stock has a very nice long-term trend. It's got this large sweeping rounding bottom here, and we're catching it right in this area on the right side of the base. And usually in that area is where you see the strongest move in these patterns. So we may be heading up to the, what is this? That's the 200-week moving average. Let me get this on another chart here to see where we're at. So yeah, looks like we're above the 200-day moving average and the 150-day moving average. Looks like we're going to be crossing this 3065 here. And I think the next level of resistance is really up there at 35, in the $35 area, and then to 40. We've got that, the gap all the way to 55. So this may really run today. Didn't beat on sales that much, I don't believe. Let me double check that. But I don't think they beat on the revenue by that much. Yeah, by like 2.5% maybe. So not a big revenue beat, but the margin certainly went up a lot. This pre-market pattern looked really good, except right now it's breaking out and kind of making its move here pre-market. So I'd like to see this come back a little before the open or go sideways here over the next 20 minutes or so and form a nice pattern pre-market and then break out of that once we go into the open. But that has a chance to run a long way. Cognex too. I was getting really excited about this one this morning. Great long-term trend on this one. If you look at, you can see this very strong long-term uptrend since the beginning of 2016. We've got on a daily chart even better pattern going right now. And I'm going to show you that here in a second. On one, you can see this little cup with handle pattern within this very strong uptrend. Okay, and now we're breaking out of that pre-market. The only problem with Cognex is that, although they're gapping, probably going to gap high enough, and it's a nice pre-market pattern. They raised the revenue guidance, but they didn't mention their bottom line guidance. I don't know if that's what they do generally, but they also mentioned that in the conference call at the bottom, they said that their margins are going down next quarter. So on the one hand, they say they're going to have more revenue, and in the next breath, they say that margins are going down versus this quarter. Maybe margins tend to be smaller in the third quarter. My guess probably not. So it looks like they're going to have a lot more revenue, but they're having a lot more costs too at the same time. So given the stock's in a very strong long-term uptrend though, that may be good enough to have a nice trade here if it gets above 105.20. But really we want to see the bottom line earnings guidance go up as well. And the third stock is a company that's not really making money as of yet, I noticed, but it's Shopify. And this stock, I think, also has a very strong long-term uptrend, as you can see here, and very strong revenue growth, apparently. And, they beat, I believe, on the top and bottom line today. So that's another interesting one that we'll be looking at. I haven't seen if they raised guidance or not yet. Haven't seen that in the releases as of yet. But these are three stocks I'm looking at. They're all potential earnings eruptions trade, although, Cognex, again, didn't really beat or didn't raise their guidance on the bottom line, just the top line. So it's a little concerned about that, but the pre-market pattern looks really good if it hits the entry point after the open. So this will be interesting. That Lumber Liquidators has a very long runway to that next level of resistance if it gets above 3065. So I think that one has a little more volatility. And so, we may have to take a little wider stop loss, perhaps. It's not really that profitable at this point, but, again, the margins were much better it's in that very strong long-term trend where it's in that very powerful rounding bottom pattern. So that'll be probably the most interesting one, and the one that has a chance of making the biggest move today in the price range that we like to see. Okay, that's about it, guys, and I'll give you an update here later on this morning.